All right, let's do a midweek disease forecasting update on NEWA because there's a big event coming Friday, and I want to make sure everyone has adequate time to prepare and address it. There's some nuances with it. Sometimes I've been feeling recently like NEWA's been acting a little bit fussy, particularly with some of the caching and storage of old data and refreshing. You might have seen some on the last video. And one of the things that can fix it is sort of clearing out your browsing data. So before we get into it, I'm trying to determine if there is something strange going on with the forecast or is it just some browser stuff. So I've got a whole bunch of different browsers. We're going to use this one out of Oslo, Norway. It's fun. It runs on a Chrome core, but you can find how to clear your things. But what you want to do is just sort of clear all your browser settings. And I'm just going to, I hate doing it because I'll never find any of the stuff I want. Cached images and files can sometimes cause trouble with NEWA, so I'm just going to kill that and it's deleting it. Or if you have Microsoft Office, you can just come here, profile settings, bam, hit the browsing data and just clear that out. But anyway, now we're all cleared up and we're ready to take a look at that NEWA itself. So let's see what we've got. NEWA.cornell.edu, and it says we're logged in for Appleton. Doesn't look like it really cleared it. I'm going to mush that again. Clear everything on this stuff. Delete all the data. Last range. All right, let's see if we got this thing finally again. And I'm going to see if I can. See, all right, you see now that it's gone to weather stations, and so I've cleared it all out. I'm not going to sign in because I'm going to look at a bunch of different weather stations, and now we're going for it. All right, I'm going to make this bigger so that we can take a look at it. Now, let's start with Appleton. Let's see if they're seeing this big event that we have coming up. Or the Appleton right there. Doesn't look like anything is here. It's interestingly enough, a couple nuances. Seems to be working all right. It's still showing the 22nd as forecast. They are getting a combined wetting event, 4 and 8 hours of leaf wetness combined, about 12. Temperatures around 50 and 49, not a lot of ejection. In some places we're going to see a pretty big ejection, but Appleton North, not a lot of ejection. So if you if you still had fungicide on probably before the 20th, just before the 20th, if you went out early this week and put something on, you're probably okay if you use like Captain May, because that's something real sticky, something really long lasting. If you went a little earlier, you may want to reapply in this nice break that we have. Right now, it's really not a big event, 3%. But as we get into some of the other places, we're going to see something a little bit stranger. Now, one of the things I want to point out is we're right on the cusp. I'm going to open up the Mills table that NEWA uses, and I'm going to zoom in because you can't see it. No human being can look at it at the size in which this has been published in the NEWA website. But look at these temperatures. It tells you what you need. At 52, you only need 9 hours of leaf wetness. But if things dip a bit, you can start to require 15 or more hours. And that's going to be real important to keep in mind as we look through the different locations and see if this is behaving or is NEWA acting a little wonky. Let's go to the next one. Cleared everything out. Let's go check out Williamson. I'm going to go up to DeMarie. Okay, we're starting to see a bigger increase on the 26th, a 5% bump. 4 and 12. The temperature's a little warmer. So if your stuff is like 55, let's go back to that Mills table and see what that says. 55, you only need 8. Do we have 8? We got 8. We got 12. However, if the temperatures were to drop, it wouldn't be enough leaf wetness at that cold temperature to let that 5% spores do their job. Now it's actually flagging it. Earlier in the weekend I was looking, they were showing some pretty large ejections, but no actual infection event predicted. Sometimes the temperature was predicted around 43. If that were the case, you're going to need that 18 hours of leaf wetness. So you could get a big ejection because there's enough rain to eject the spores, but you're not going to get enough leaf wetness to do the deed with the infection, even after the spores eject, which is great for the apple grower and your fungicide application. But right now, when things are right on the cusp, we could be at the verge of a really tricky situation. So right now, SOTUS looks pretty good. Let's take a look at Interlaken, sort of Finger Lakes area. And all right, here we go. Now we're starting to move east down the state, and we're starting to see where that 5% has now jumped up in some of the places where maturity is higher to a big honking 16%. This is a big event. I would If I had put something on Monday, I might go ahead and weather it because you've only lost not very much rain, so it's not all washed off. I think you can survive it. And then what you might want to do is after you beat the event, then come back and maybe use that other sillet if I was in the Finger Lakes. Or if you haven't put anything on in a good bit of time, maybe you went last Friday, I'd drop that sillet on there on Thursday or Friday at the end of the day so that you can rest through the weekend peacefully and knock out that 16%. Why do we use sillet at this particular time? We're not far enough along in the season to warrant the extra modes of actions and effectiveness that the other fungicide chemistries will bring to the table. They'll do mildew, they'll do rust, maybe you could do a little bit of rust, but you have your mancozeb for that. I guess in that case, if you really had a rust heavy thing, you might want to use a group 3 Sevia or Inspire Super or any of the other DMIs. They're all fairly equally good at this stage of the game. You could put that on, but I would try to use up my one of my sillets right now if I hadn't put anything on. If you already had coverage on the 20th and 21st, you're doing fine. So let's see what we have when we move. Let's go take a jump north real quick and go to Chazy area and see what we got up in that region. They're still showing a 3%, and look, the temperature's really at that low 52, 53, 12 hours of leaf wetness. NEWA seems to be working well after my cache clearing, so if you need to do that, make sure you get that done as well. And yeah, looking pretty good, but just a 5% total ejection, but enough leaf wetness hours. If it gets too much colder, this is going to drop and these ascospores won't infect. So in this case, I don't think I would throw the kitchen sink at them. I would just make sure my coverage is good. Now let's creep down into Voorheesville as we go sort of east and south, if you will. See what that looks like. Oh goodness, Voorheesville is looking really rough for Saturday. I think it's Saturday is the 26th. I wish it kind of had the dates on it, but it's not worth the extra effort. You can. It tells me what the 26th is Saturday. You just got to look at this fun calendar on the side. That's how to sort of beat that one. Yeah, big one coming up. If I hadn't sprayed anything in a while, I think I'd use one of my other Dodine sillets right up here. It really works well on the apple scab. If you have a lot of other press problems, then I'd maybe go a group 3 fungicide, Sevia Inspire Super, mainly because they're really good at mildew and they're good at rusts in particular. Flutriafol is another really good one. Might be as rime. You could do it. But I think I would save those rimes and things later from when the mildew pressure is going to start steeping up and when you get a lot of other things. So if you have rust, maybe group 3. If you don't have a rust pressure, I would stick to the Dodine. All right, let's go into the Hudson Valley. I suspect we're going to start seeing some more 25s. Spell it right. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, it's lost all apple scab altogether. 54%. This is the big one. If you sprayed pretty close to the event already, 20 hours of leaf wetness, but if you sprayed already pretty close to the event, and I think your coverage will weather it, and then you might want to apply the Dodine or Sillet afterwards. If you hadn't put anything on in a while, I'd go hard with the Dodine now. If you have rust in the area, then we'll just do the group 3. This is the big event of the season. Looks like it's going to be a big blowout. We're going to see how this video compares to the next one I shoot on Sunday when we see 54% of the ascospores actually ejected. This number is just increasing. And earlier in the day, I was discussing with my colleagues Scott and Anna, and we weren't seeing an infection event, but now we're seeing it. 61 degrees. The leaf wetness is predicted. I think clearing out that cache really helped out. So make sure to do that yourself. And let's go to Long Island. It's too bad we can't get that Lyrex station repaired. That would be really cool. I don't know what the problem is or why it's not working. Maybe it's a funding issue. Yep, they also have a big 52 coming up. You can use Dodine on Long Island. After the last video, I quickly looked it up. Perfectly fine. If you haven't put anything on since like the 18th and 19th way up here, I might put it on there early. If you have rust, group 3, really tight to it. If you already have good coverage, maybe on the 22nd or the 21st, probably didn't get washed off with a 0.2 of an inch of rain, then you could come back with your Dodine there and grab whatever junk is coming up later in the week. But I would not go into this big event without having protection on pretty close to the time of the event. And that's all the different things. We talked about clearing cache. We talked about the events. If you have rust again and scab, maybe group 3. If you don't, I'd use up my one of my Dodines now. Get that, sell it on there. It's very good against apple scab. All right, see you on Sunday.